So joining us to talk all about this, psychotherapist Robi Ludwig. Robi, thanks so much for being with me. So in reference to Trump's response to the cons, John McCain said this: "I cannot emphasize enough how deeply I disagree with Mr. Trump's statement. While our party has bestowed upon him the nomination, it is not accompanied by unfettered license to defame those who are the best among us. I'd like to say to Mr. and Mrs. Khan, thank you for immigrating to America. We're a better country because of you, and you are certainly right. Your son was the best of America, and the memory of his sacrifice will make us a better nation, and he will never be forgotten." Important to note two things, Robi. The Khan's son was awarded a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart after he died, sacrificing his life for other troops. Also in July of 2015, Donald Trump did say that John McCain was not a war hero because he was captured. Why is it so difficult, Robi, for Donald Trump to say he's sorry or that he may have possibly made a mistake?
I think that's just not his style. I certainly don't want to speak for Donald Trump, but his style basically is, if you go after me, I'm going to go after you. And while the whole world, or much of the world, saw this grieving father with a lot of empathy, I think to Donald Trump, he saw this man as a political pawn in the Clintons' game. And so all bets are off. And so what we've seen with Donald Trump is that if someone attacks him, it doesn't matter who they are, he's going to hit them hard. And so the people that like Donald Trump like that about him.
You know, I want to listen to another part of Khan's speech and then Trump's response to that, Robi, and I want to get your take as to why it is Donald Trump answers the way in which he does. Take a listen.
Sacrificed nothing and no one. Let me ask you, have you even read the United States Constitution?
I think I've made a lot of sacrifices. I work very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs, built great structures. I've had tremendous success.
So is this a part of his strategy in answering or not necessarily answering the question as to what sacrifices you have made, Robi, or is this just really his personality?
Well, I think this is his personality, that he's certainly not going to let somebody who is part of the political game take away his power or put him into a box that he doesn't feel he belongs in. And that's been his style all along, that he's kind of the politically incorrect politician. And for a lot of people, that kind of political incorrectness feels authentic and feels true, whether people like everything that Donald Trump says or not. And people have a strong reaction to what he says, but what most people will say is whether you agree with him or not, it feels like he is being authentic.
All right, also joining us, a member of Donald Trump's Diversity Council, Carlos Limon. Carlos, thanks for joining us. Is it time for Donald Trump to apologize? Has this gone too far?
It's pretty clear to me he hasn't said anything wrong or about Mr. Khan's son or against military. You know, I think actions speak louder than words. If you see his tracking record over the last 30 years, he's always been very supportive. He's raised, millions of dollars for the vets, he has great respect for the military. But I think it's kind of the same thing what happened back in the Hispanics, me being a Hispanic from Mexico, when he said he's speaking to a group of people who are a problem. And there's a big, big group of people who are Mexicans, where I'm from, and they're not good people. So when he says we need to get these people out, I don't think he's speaking to me. So I don't think that Mr. Trump needs to apologize to me for saying that there's a group of people who are, Mexicans, rapists, drug dealers, and all that stuff. It's kind of the same thing.
But is it okay to paint a brush like that, Carlos? I mean, to paint a wide brush like that about all Mexicans? And in this instance, he said disparaging remarks about a man who lost his life, saving the lives of other troops, about a father who got up in front of millions of people and said, Donald Trump, what have you sacrificed? And he's turned around and said disparaging remarks. Isn't it okay, Carlos, to say, I'm wrong? It doesn't mean you're a bad candidate. It doesn't mean people don't necessarily disagree with you. But when you're wrong, maybe you admit you're wrong. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I can't. What sense? I think he has great respect. If he was to meet Mr. Khan, like he met me and knows that I'm Mexican and he doesn't have a problem with me, I think it's just a matter of how you view it. Mr. Khan and Mr. Trump have not met. I think Mr. Trump feels and has great respect for Mr. Khan's son for what he did. But now Mr. Khan is kind of, and we all respect that, but it's kind of been detoured all the thing to attack Mr. Trump. But he hasn't said any negative towards that, I guess.
Carlos, is there anything that you disagree with in regards to Donald Trump's policy choices and decisions?
No, it's his policies and decisions, no. Sometimes, we have different ways of saying things. And sometimes I'm like, wow, he said this. But, so far he speaks his mind. There's no one who writes speeches for him. He just speaks it. I just admire and respect his honesty. Sometimes, we have to take the bad and the good. I don't necessarily, I just like the fact that he's honest and he tells us the truth. So even if he wanted to lie to us, the other way around, so, we're just fed up with, lying and corrupted politicians. He couldn't do it. He couldn't say something that he's not. Yes.
Robbie, go ahead. Final word.
I just was going to say, I think part of kind of the power of Donald Trump is he's saying, I am not going to be silenced by the politically correct police. And for many, people live vicariously through Donald Trump because of that. Even if they don't agree with every single thing that he says, the fact that he can say what comes to mind appears very liberating. And to apologize, I think, for someone like Donald Trump puts him in a weaker position, and he's just not going to do that.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, is this really about political correctness, or is this more just about sort of accepting human decency and understanding that we all have differences in this world? That's really the question. Carlos Limon, Robi Ludwig, thanks so much for joining us. Very much appreciate it.